Hello guys, so welcome you all today for this session. I think this is the third session we're doing this year. Yeah, we've been kind of on a lot of what we're picking up here. So welcome guys. So so I'm just going to introduce Geeks of Thursday and just before I go over to the speaker today. Yeah, so that's the slogan that the comic speak of Geeks of Thursday, and the image you see there, that's the Eldoret town. That's where all these stories about Geeks of Thursday started way back in 2017. Yeah, so Geeks of Thursday is a community of developers to learn, engage, and share knowledge. And it's brought to you with love from Lab KE. So what we do introductions to development, we do code labs, fireside chats, we talk about productivity, talk about product review and launching case. You have one, you can always schedule such sessions, open source. Yeah. So other interesting activities that members of the community are doing. So first is our YouTube channel in Next of Thursday. You can go and check it out for the previous videos. There's from Tamre. Check that channel out. There's Tech Dicted, Code with the Team 7. Yeah. And you can always add any. So if you do some awesome work there, say be it blogs or channel or open source in GitHub or other open source platform, you can always feature you here. So communities to look out for currently: Android 5.4 Kotlin Kenya, Flutter Kenya, Atlassian Community Nairobi, Flutter Kisumu, Vue.js Kenya. You can go and search for all these communities by their names on Telegram and Meetup and follow the events. Then there's ElixirConf Africa is coming up next month. Just go to ElixirConf.africa. Yeah. And there's also Dreadcon KE happening this year. So you can also head on to dreadcon.co.ke and find more about what will be happening this year. So you can find us on Geekstock Thursday, YouTube, then on GitHub, mostly Geekstock organization. So the speaker today is Joseph Kabogo. He's a software engineer, and you can follow him on Twitter, Joe_Gishuru, and the moderator of today is me. I'm Magaki Manuel, a software developer. You can follow me on Twitter, Enosh Magaki. Yeah. So Geekstock Thursday is brought to you with a love from Aslab KE. So from this point, so today, Joseph is going to talk about AWS Amplify up and running. So that's the topic today. So keep locked and try and learn something and also share. So I'm going to head over and invite Jose now. He's going to speak with us from this moment. So welcome you all guys again to Geekstock Thursday.
So hello everyone. My name is Joe. Told I'm going to take you through a brief lesson, a brief introduction to AWS Amplify and Cognito and how you can use it to build mobile apps, build scalable mobile apps without necessarily needing any kind of developing a backend. So Amplify, I was inspired to check out on Amplify because as a mobile developer, I'm a full-time mobile developer. My biggest challenge comes from developing backend for my mobile apps. So it's a little bit challenging. Try to build some backend. You know how hard it can be to build a backend, especially if you are majorly focused on mobile development. So Amplify is going to take care of that. You can build an app that can log in, just a login. Maybe you can integrate some APIs using the AWS Lambda etc. We're going to discuss all of those things. So let me share my screen. I'm going to take you through slide by slide. So the topic for today, I call it Amplify Up and Running. Basically, the very basic introduction to Amplify and what Amplify entails. What's all this buzz about Amplify? So For implementation, it's be kind of a code lab. So for implementation, you'll have a small app. I call it a pet finder, which should allow you to find pets near you, cats, dogs, etc. near you. Just a very basic small app. I just want to test. What do you call it? I just want to test registration, login, logout. Just a simple start. And I built my app with React Native just for simplicity purposes. But you can use Amplify with whatever platform stack you use. You can use it on web, for Vue, React. You can use it under native. I think iOS too. So for introduction, so Amplify, uh, just as just a CLI or and a set of tools that allows you to configure your clients. This can be mobile apps, browser-based apps like web apps, etc. To connect to some of the most common AWS resources, such as Cognito, AppSync, etc. Even Lambdas can plug all these AWS resources to your app. So Amplify is the tool that allows you to do that. Connect the AWS resources to your app. So as a developer, Amplify is a little bit simpler than probably what a DevOps will do. Amplify takes care of a lot of things, like creating instances in the cloud, etc. Yeah, it takes care of generating configuration files for you, etc. So probably some of the hardest tasks DevOps engineers face is developing those we call them SAML configuration files for cloud formation, etc. So Amplify tries to abstract away that deep DevOps knowledge from you, so that you can just focus on your app and provision AWS resources inside the app. So I say Amplify is just a tool, CLI tool, and a tool chain for clients that enables to create and configure AWS services. So there are various. Uh, you notice I call it a CLI and tool chain. There are various services that falls under Amplify. You have Amplify CLI, you have Amplify console, Amplify admin. I think those are three major ones. Oh, and Amplify libraries for specific clients. For example, if I want to use Amplify in my Android app, I just import, I just add as a dependency, Amplify as a dependency to my Android app. If I want to use it for, let's say, React Native, I just add it as a dependency in React Native etc. So briefly, so the beauty of Amplify, it takes care of generating a lot of code for you. So you don't have to write all those codes, and you'll see that beauty in a moment. So these are the kind of services. Just a sample, a snapshot of the services offered by AWS. For databases, of course, you have DynamoDB. For APIs, you have the AWS API Gateway. We also have AppSync. AppSync is a graph, like kind of a GraphQL service. But they AWS names their services weird names. So when you see the word AppSync, you might not even know just a wrap around GraphQL. We also have the Lambda services, so-called serverless. For authentication, you have Cognito, etc. For analytics, you have like sub-services like Pinpoint, and you can connect all these services to your app or web app via Amplify. So for notification, you have something like simple notification services and simple email services. So simple notification services are just like like file-based push notifications. So, and this one are called simple email services. You can just send emails scalable in a very scalable way from app in the backend. These are the services. So this one here called AWS device fund. This one is for IoTs. So in this app, we're majorly going to use Cognito, which is an authentication service that AWS provides. So it's an authentication and authorization service, meaning you can register, log in, can allow your clients to register and log in, etc., even using their social media accounts through Amplify, through AWS. So all your data is saved somewhere in the AWS cloud, and you don't need to worry about provisioning servers to save all this data. So by default, Cognito supports up to 50,000 active users per month for the free trial. After that, it's just like 0.0025 of some dollars per user, which is a little bit cheaper. It's very, very, very scalable, and can even use it on enterprise. And for Amplify now, the integration of Amplify and Cognito on React Native now supports some common UI patterns, rather call them components, so that you don't have to build registration page, login page, password reset screens. Amplify will take care of those screens. Just focus on your app. Amplify will take care of storage authorization and authentication. So the best pinpoint, just a snapshot, just an analytics service, and it's mostly used for advertisements and sales promotion, but you can use it to log analytics and events inside your app. So behind the scene, and Amplify will log things like when user attempts to log in and maybe fails, and things like those. Behind the scene, by default, AWS will log those kind of data. So we also have the REST API services offered by AWS, which is Lambda. So you can combine a Lambda and an API gateway. Lambda is simply just a serverless compute service that lets you run code without provisioning of managing servers, creating workloads. So basically, as Lambda is just your bare code. You just publish your bare code there. You don't care about the runtime. For example, maybe you're building a function maybe to when a user registers, maybe you want to send them an invitation email or something. Building such a service, you just build the logic itself as a function. You don't care about where the service will be deployed, the runtime, etc. For example, if you're building it with Java, you don't care about whether the game has to be set up, etc. You just just publish the service itself, which is quite interesting. So using the AWS API gateway, you can expose that Lambda so that you can consume that Lambda as a normal REST API inside your app. So and the AWS API gateway is a fully managed service that makes it easy for the developers to create, publish, maintain, monitor, and secure APIs at any scale. So most of these AWS services are extremely scalable. You can scale from tens of users to millions of users without writing a single line of code. So the API gateway can act as a front end for your database services. So you can expose your DynamoDB database through the gateway. You can expose the S3 buckets, maybe etc. through the gateway. And the most common way of exposing your lambdas through the gateway. So basically, you provision an endpoint, a normal HTTP endpoint. When a user access that endpoint, in turn, AWS just calls a lambda and returns the response that with the logic that you define inside the lambda. Now we'll see how these things work probably. So I have an app here. I want to share it on the screen. Can you guys see my emulator?
Yeah, sure. What?
Can you see my emulator?
No. Just share the entire screen when you don't have problems.
Sharing the entire screen, this thing is just speaking specific sessions. Okay. Now you can see it, right?
Yeah. I see dogs.
So this is a very simple app which allows you to find pets near you. By now, I've just all this data inside here are just pre-written, just local data. But maybe in future you can publish all this data inside a Lambda, then access this data through the gateway. So this is a dummy app. What we're going to build, we're going to allow the user to log into this app. You cannot access this screen without first logging in. We're also going to add the functionality to allow you to log out, and you can see that entire login and login register, which is the authentication flow. You can see it. So So when you log in, this place that says hey name, going to be hey, then whatever, the name of the current logged in. So without further ado, just let me take you through the code. Just a little bit before we start to get setting up Amplify. So this thing is grouping my screens. Let me share the code. So this is my code. I hope you guys can see it.
Excuse me, look at JS.
So this app is written in Cognito for simplicity. I wanted it to be as seamless as possible, easy to demonstrate. But you can still do a similar thing with any platform you are using. Maybe you're using native, you can still do the same. Basically the similar concept. So these are very simple app. Here's my app screen. Very basic dummy app. This is my result screen. This is the page that is showing the list of whatever the page. The data is here, just predetermined or pre-written. Just a very dummy app. We're now going to add login and register to this app. Oh, I pre-written some things to save time because like coding this thing might take hours. So let's get started. So first of all, we're going to install. Going to take you through how we're going to install Amplify. Now I'm going to configure it. Etc. Continue. So Amplify is written in Node.js, and you can access it using npm. It's a CLI tool. We're going to use the Amplify CLI mostly, though there are other tools that are non-CLI, like the Amplify console, called Amplify console, which is a web dashboard which you can still do the same thing like you're doing here, but it's much easier to use it because it auto-generates code for you. So to install Amplify, because it's available in the npm repository, you just do it install globally. AWS Amplify CLI. We're going to now install the same CLI tool. I've already installed in mine. Takes some time to install and configure. So I've already pre-done some of these things to save time. So let me share. Can you see my terminal session? Manu?
You can only see the IDE.
Okay, let me check this thing. This thing's not even sharing the entire screen. How do I share the entire window?
Stop sharing and then share. Can you guys see my entire desktop now? Yes, I think we are on the slides. Yes.
Yeah, okay, no, that's good.
The emulator, right?
Pardon?
The emulator.
There's an emulator, then there's something at the background. Can you see there's something in the background?
Amplify something. Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's okay. It's okay. So, submit. So, this is how we install Amplify. Amplify CLI. As I told you, it's an npm package. So, I told you it's an npm package. So, install it from npm in registry. So, I've already installed mine. Now, next step, just configure Amplify. So this command to configure Amplify, it will now like authenticate you with AWS so that your local Amplify whatever application knows about your AWS configuration in etc. So this step also takes some time because it has to launch a browser session. You can log in from there, get some tokens, etc. So it takes some. There's a number of steps you can follow, which is very easy to follow because just go through the browser. Can follow more information from the link I provided here. No, sorry. Let's see. I'll provide this slide at the end of the session. Yeah. So after you configure, now you can be able now to add your services to your projects. So configuration is just a one-time process, same as installation, just one time. Install it once, then can initialize multiple projects. Okay, next step. If there's any question, can just ask. I know I talked too fast, so if anything passes, you can just shoot the question. So now to use your Amplify in a project, initialize an Amplify inside your project using Amplify init. We are going to do it right now in our project now. We're going to initialize Amplify into this project. So as you can see the project structure, just a normal React Native project. You have iOS folder, Android folder, I've already installed some modules, mostly just initializing the project. The project should be very bare. That should be very bare. This is nothing. This just nothing. Just no more React Native project. Just a few UI edits. I'm going to initialize Amplify here. I already done a lot of these things, but I can just show you a preview of what we'll achieve at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, we'll have something like this. So we'll have something, some configuration file will be added later. Show you. Basically, we'll wrap on that app inside the authenticator so that you cannot access anything inside the app without first registering and logging etc. So let me discard this commit. Just check out. I'm going to do everything from scratch. So let me go to my initial UI. Just pure their metal UI. So we're going to initialize Amplify in this project. And to initialize Amplify, as I showed you here, just run Amplify inside your project root. After you've configured Amplify and logged in in the browser. So before you use Amplify in any project, you must run this command. So as it's initializing, you'll notice there will be a folder which will appear somewhere here called Amplify, which Amplify is good. Is intelligent enough to add it in. You're not supposed to commit that folder. You see it. Let me rename my project to Pets. Let me just call it Pets. I'll enter project name. Now Amplify now will take care of initializing the project locally and also provisioning a similar resource in the AWS cloud now. Let's see this out. So I don't want to use any default configuration. I just want to set up from scratch. So I want to use the development profile. I'm using MJ. My projects just a JavaScript and React Native. As you can see, you have so many other types of projects you can amplify. So select React Native, my source directory, SRC. The reason why it's actually asking for my source directory is a piece of code that will be generated to be added to the source directory. It's very important to specify the right source where you want that code to go. In this case, I'm just comfortable with it going in the SRC directory. So the rest command, the build command. For in my case, because I'm using Cognito and just no npm, not just everything to default. You might get you might get different versions based on whatever platform you're using. If you're using Android, you might get something different. If you're using maybe Ionic, you might get something different. So just going to go with default, select the authentication method you want to use. So now this the identification method of between Amplify and AWS now the AWS Cloud Server. So I'm just going to use my profile because I've already logged in the previous step called configure. But you can as well use those access keys. It's a little bit lengthy to set up. And use the default profile. Most of the time, just need default things. You don't need to change a lot of things here. So initializing the project in the cloud, and as well to initialize, we create an instance of some configuration files here. So basically, this step will initialize Amplify a project in the cloud, so that if I add any service, if I'm using any AWS service in that project, it will create a similar copy of that service in the cloud. Basically, it will provision that service in the cloud without you needing to do anything. So if you are ever into AWS stuff, you know something about cloud formation and their concept of infrastructure as code, can go and research about that one. So we have successfully initialized the project. Let me refresh. Let's see. As you can see, there's a file which was generated called AWS exports, which is basically your configuration for this project. You're not supposed even to edit this one. Amplify will edit it on your behalf. It will add a lot of configuration here. Then there's this folder which was created called Amplify in your root project. You're not supposed to commit this one. So as I told you, when you come here to you can see there's a lot of files added. You're supposed to commit this. Basically, this defines your cloud infrastructure. This piece of code. So I'm more interested in backend. As you can see, there's nothing in my backend at the moment. I've not added any AWS service into my app yet. Now, I've just initialized the Amplify, which Amplify will take care of initializing the AWS services into my app. So this is the bare minimum for Amplify, just adding it to the project. So when I provision a service, let's say I want to add authentication, and maybe I want to add API, I want to add notifications. It will create the service here. And see it. So next step. So because I'm going to add authentication into my app, there's a service called out. So out use Cognito. And Cognito, as I told you, is an AWS service for that takes care of the authorization and the authentication and managing user sessions, which is in Cognito. So when I call Amplify add out, basically I'm initializing, I'm provisioning the Cognito service into my app, my current app. Let's see. So I'm just going to run that. Amplify add out service. Let us initialize it. So for Amplify, there are two things you're supposed to do when you add a service. When you add a service, it will create a local copy of the service inside your project here. Now under this bucket. But for it to provision a similar service now to deploy that, like kind of deploying that service in the cloud or creating a copy of that service now in the live service in the cloud, you have to run a command called amplify push. Now you push all your local services and now initialize them in the cloud. We'll see that step. So for this configuration, for this app authorization, bare minimum, I'm not going to use any kind of social provider. You have to set up this Facebook API keys and stuff. I'm just going to use the default one. I want to the user to be able to, you can select how you want your user to log in, which is the, what do I call it, for example, you can log in with the username and password, email and password, phone number and password, and just going to go with email. Or some instances, maybe you want user to be able to log in with either email or phone number. I'm just going to go with emails. Just symbol email derivation. I can make it. I can allow you to set the rest by default. Let it create the service for us. It takes a few seconds. Then we'll see. So now service, as I told you, when you add a service, it will appear here and under your backend. Now this is your cloud. Now your cloud service. Basically, what Amplify is doing here is just allowing you to define your whatever your cloud logic or backend deployment logic inside your project. So or just define initialize those services or define those services inside your project, then deploy it, and AWS will take care of deploying those services in the cloud. So you have out. If for example I do Amplify, sorry, maybe I want to use Lambda, I can just so to add a service, just do Amplify add then service name. So if I want to add a Lambda, I can just do Amplify add. Lambdas are called the service itself is called function, which basically just create a serverless function using the AWS Lambda. Just do like this. Then you can go ahead and define how you want your service to look like. Maybe I want my service name to look. Maybe I can call my service hello service. This is my Lambda now. Want it. So I told you Lambda supports a lot of various languages, .NET, Java, whatever, JS, Python. Most of the people use JS to write the Lambdas. It's much easier. Less verbose than Java. Let's go. Just want to see how to look like. Configure advanced setting. No, just deploy it the way yes. So if I click yes, it will try to launch my ID to launch the Lambda service itself in my ID. You see. Try to launch that service. Next, you can see here. Basically, this is what this is a Lambda, just a service, just a function that takes an event and returns a response. That's basically a Lambda. That's it. So I can write my logic here. How I want given some request, I want to return a certain response. I just write all my logic inside here and deploy it, and now expose this Lambda to the gateway, which is another process. So basically that's it. So point to remember, Lambda is just a function, just a pure bare function. No information about the runtime environment. It is just the function itself, where your logic resides. Let me close this one. So just give me an example of how to create a Lambda. So because I don't need, so as you notice, as you have not noticed, when I created a function, it was created here. This is my yellow service, like my yellow service Lambda. If I create another Lambda, it will be under this function here. This is my Lambda. I can edit it here. Index here, no, here. Here I can edit this Lambda however I want to use it. I can even have some a minimum some supported what do you call it, third-party dependencies here. If you're familiar with JS, you know the importance of packaging. So because I don't need to use any kind of Lambda in this project, let me just remove it. To remove a project or a service, rather, just call remove then service name. I don't want to use any function, so just remove the function. So this one will remove the function from my local copy. Point to remember, this is just my local copy. I haven't deployed my services into the AWS cloud yet. I want to remove that. I want to delete the files entirely and go on. This will be gone. The service is gone. So next step. Let's now continue with our out. So we already added the out. Now we need AWS to provision that out service to initialize it now in the backend or in the cloud. To do that, just do this. If I push, as simple as that. So this one, this push command, whatever all the services that are defined here will now be initialized in the server, or not necessarily in the server, in the cloud. But we could use the right term in the cloud. So if, for example, if I'm using push notification to initialize in the cloud, so I'm using now out in the cloud. Everything, every service that I created in my project, initialize in the cloud. And point to remember, so these are the services that I was talking about. These are the services that will be deployed in the cloud. Let's push. Push. This process takes a few minutes because it does initialize a lot of things in the cloud. Let's see if something can be here. I want it to deploy. So as you can see, you can list it creates a list of all the new services that will be deployed in the cloud. In the current case, just one service. Deploy that thing. These other files are not as much important to you. So just don't edit anything of them. So just define your project configuration, like where your story bucket site it is now. Interesting file. You can find it. So this process takes a few minutes. You can see this step by step how it's doing the service in the cloud. Yes, a few more minutes. Takes around 2 minutes. Must be done. It's the last steps. So as it deploys, I can take you maybe through the rest of the slides. So the Amplify CLI has a few commands. I've talked about configure, I've talked about init to initialize the project, initialize Amplify the project. I've talked about adding a service, just Amplify add, then service name can be a function, add out, add push notification, etc. Then Amplify push to provision your resources in the cloud or deploy your resources or your services in the cloud. For this one is interesting, called Amplify Publish. For example, if you're developing a static website, like a React website, which needs to be built into a static site, like it's a React application but needs to be built into a static site, we use Amplify Publish. It will take care of building the static assets and publishing it in the cloud. Or if even you can even deploy HTML with Amplify and expose it maybe by some sort of API. So to remove a service, just call Amplify remove the service name, maybe can be out, can be function, etc. So in some cases, maybe you're inheriting a project developed by another person, or your cloud configuration have been defined elsewhere, like using the Amplify console through the web. So in that case, and you need to provision such a project inside locally, use this Amplify pool, basically to pull all the configurations that are already predefined, determined in the cloud, and make it available locally. So it create this, or create these files for you, all these files. I think this one, I think we create this config and this for you. If your cloud has already been defined by someone else, say maybe you have a DevOps engineer that designed these things, just call Amplify pool, and whatever they designed will appear. It now be available locally to you. So that's it. Then the service has finished deploying. You see, and the service has finished initializing the cloud. Now we have it working locally and in the cloud deployed. You can just verify it. To verify that, to access the console. As I told you, there are two ways you can use Amplify. You can use the CLI or the console. So Amplify is divided into four parts. You have the CLI, the console. You have the admin dashboard, which will allow you now to, like, when a user registers, to see their ID details now. It's like just like a normal admin dashboard for management. And now we have the libraries. The libraries now they interact mostly inside your code. Like the Amplify library for React Native, now for Android, for iOS, etc. So to access the Amplify console, just write Amplify console inside your project, and you try to open the console for this current project. Let's see. To open it in the browser. Let's see how Amplify console looks like. Right. But they have shared this code somewhere. It's on GitHub. You can just go through it and see it. Yes, it's just a very simple project. So I don't want to launch the admin panel. I want to launch the console. So to launch it, I'm going to stop sharing from moment login. Let me just write this step. It requires me to log in, and I have to factor the authentication, which will take some time to log in. So now we are in our project. Now let's get started. Now adding Amplify now to our code. Now we have now finished setting up our project and adding some services into it. Now let's start consuming those services. So I told you, because I told you I'm using React Native, I'm going to add three packages, four packages for Amplify. Yeah. So AWS Amplify is a library, a client library now that allows you now to interact with the AWS services inside your app. If you want to log a user in now, you need to use this now, these services, not services really, these libraries. So for 100 maybe to be a gradual dependency. For React Native, I'll just use this one. For Vue, maybe something similar, etc. So for React, there's also another one for React, this one for React Native. So AWS Amplify is a common JS. So if your project is JavaScript based, you probably need this one. Probably need to use some sort of AWS Amplify. So this one is a general JavaScript library. You can use it for React Native, React, etc. This is the benefits. This one, AWS Amplify React Native. This one is a nice library addition that allows you to develop the registration, sign in, those screens. You can create those screens without really writing any code to take care of it using this library. I can call it this a client UI library. You don't need to use this one. If you have your own login form design or registration form design already, you can just use import this library and take care of it. Now, because I'm going to use this library, I'm going to import this identity JS, JS2 in my project. And React Native, because to access network, probably need this library from somewhere to check network status. So I'm going to add these four libraries. Amazon Cognito, JS, React Native Community Net 84, and this one, AWS Amplify native. Basically, I need all those 4 packages to begin with. So AWS Amplify. Yes. And I'm using Yarn. You can use npm. We can use npm to install these packages. Just install the package names. I guess that Yarn. That one's visibility. So AWS Amplify native depends on this other library called Cognito identity. Yes, somewhere. Community default. There's all the libraries. So the setup 400 and the other platforms probably might a little bit different, but the concept is you had the base Amplify core package. Then if your platform supports the UI, like I think most of the JavaScript libraries support a UI, but 400 there's no UI yet. You have to add the Amplify core, some sort of Amplify core, then you can use it inside your project. So let's wait for the project to initialize, the libraries dependencies to be added. Sorry. So these are the services I was telling you. The base services that our enterprise supports. We have the cloud libraries now for various platforms like for these platforms. We have for the native, for Vue, normal JS, you can use the web. We have for iOS, we have for Android. We also have one for Flutter. The CLI, that's the Amplify CLI that we are installing. The console is the web platform that I was trying to launch. Then that's me for console being console. So you can create all these Amplify services that I was talking about, like Cognito, etc., either using the CLI or the console. So if you created them using the console and you want to import it to your project, the CLI, just call Amplify pool. It will pull the resources developed by the console. And they now recently they introduced the admin UI, which you can see your user data. They logged in users data. You see them there, the admin UI. If you launch it, you can see it. So as I told you, Amplify it's a free service. The only services that you be paying are the individual services that you don't. Maybe if you're using S3, maybe if you're using some Lambda function somewhere, etc. You be paying for those services. Or maybe if you're a fan of GraphQL, you're using AppSync. There are GraphQL service called AppSync. You pay for only for those ones. But for Cognito, it's majorly free. Up to 50,000 users are a lot of users on a monthly basis. So unless your app is really big, 50,000 users quite a big one. So AWS services that are supported by Amplify mostly. I think this thing I've finished launching. Finished. So basically, added our library, our client library now. Which is given. Sorry. this one, because these are not project. Cognitive just nodes. So my services are here. These are the services. These are core to Amplify, but this one is just a cognitive package that allows you to check network information. It's not very specific to AWS or Amplify. Just a common practice to always have it someone. If your projects need to access internet to someone. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do, as I showed you here, let me launch my project on Android. Let me run it on Android first. Check it through. This is basically just a normal cognitive running with a cognitive project. On Android, probably it will be building, and iOS the same thing. On the React, if it's a React web app, probably run I think something start or something. I think it starts long with the project. I'm not sure. Or implement APM start. Because I use Yan, I just run an Android. If you're using NPM, it will be NPM run Android. And here you have NPM run start. Just like short. So we're going to add a logic. We're going to now handle logging out. And a user logs in successfully, they can log out. You can see the entire flow that takes the user back to the login screen without you having to write any piece of code, just wrapping the entire app. We're also going to change this one. Instead of saying hey, let it say hey, and the name of the current user. Okay, I think those are the two things. And we are also going to wrap our app such that you cannot see the home screen, which contains our data, pets data. You cannot see it without first having to log in. So I think the app should be running. Try it's running. That's running. It's okay. It's good. Now let's implement some sites here. So first of all, I told you about this file. I told you this file is auto-generated. This AWS exports. It's auto-generated by Amplify. If I add a service, maybe I add a function, I add something. The configuration file that will allow me to plug that service into my project. Amplify will take care of generating that configuration here. This file is very important for you. This is how your app connects to the AWS services here. Because this one is just I call them like build tools, like hammers, etc. They're just tools that enable you to use Amplify inside your project. But the most important file, this Amplify generated this file. This is the most important file. You have to commit this one. You have to commit this one to your Git committed. Because it identify your project region, identity, etc. Basically, this is your entry point, the entry point of your project into the cloud. So before you use Amplify into a project, you first have to configure it into your project. Like basically letting your project know about Amplify. Usually on React, you have to configure it globally somewhere and define it here in the index.js. If you are using a React web, React probably have it in the index.js. Yes, you have some sort of index.js before you even start launching your app. You're already configured. If you're using Android, probably you create an application, then define it in the create of that application. It has to take place after the very initial stage of your app, before even your app starts loading the logic for UI, etc. Very initial stage of your app, so that if you are using something like a login registration, there are some screens that needs a user to be registered and logged in. We have to configure the Amplify first, then we handle those logic later on. So, and the way we configure Amplify, first of all, I have to import this one. This AWS exports. I call it config. There's some SRC, and then import that file. So I want now to plug Amplify into my project. The way you do that is very simple. This thing is very easy. I hope something being understood. now put out AWS Amplify. Let's call it this. Basically, that's it. Just import Amplify, then call Amplify, configure, then you pass our own configuration. That's it. We have already configured our project to use Amplify. So our project knows there's an Amplify somewhere which resides in this configuration. Drop your code up to there. So that is it. Go. So inside now, you can now start, because we have already configured at the very initial stage of the app, we have already configured Amplify. You can now start using Amplify services inside the app. You can have so many other services. Our current app just have the old services. You can have APIs, etc. You can have so many services. Maybe in future, maybe in a later date, I'll push this data to an Amplify. What do you call it? Push this data maybe to a Lambda, then expose that Lambda in a API, then consume that API. You'll see how to set up those things. So, set a project. I want to use Amplify inside my app, wrap my entire app. As I told you, I don't want users to access this screen without first having to log in. So the way I do that, I will start importing Amplify services. No, not automatic, just Amplify. AWS Amplify. Yeah, there's a service called auth. We have other services. Try to generate it, but don't generate for us. So if I was using API, I just call API. Those are the services. If I was using functions, probably here, let me see, and there's no function. But basically, most of your services that you add will exist here inside this AWS Amplify. And this is a common file for all React, not React, all JavaScript projects. So I'm using just auth, called the auth. So the auth will allow me now to, if I was not using the UI, I can use the auth to log in. That in a moment. I can just call a function called auth. Like, I want to log in, auth log in. I sign in like that. Then I pass the parameters like username, password, etc. If I want to register auth, sign up, etc. I want to sign up. I pass. Now I can pass the username, email, etc. as parameters that to this auth. Sign up parameters. And pass username, password, etc. Inside that sign. If I wanted to log out, just call out log out. If you have used Firebase, you find this quite familiar. Sign out. If you have used Firebase, whatever the education, you find this quite familiar. Just a similar thing. You notice most of these things are returning promises. In those not familiar with JS world, promise is just a function that will return sometimes in the future. It may take some time to run, then it return sometimes in the future. If you're using Kotlin, maybe there's an equivalent of maybe what it is imports, continuous imports. If you're using Java, you use RX, similarly, service that will return in the future, sometimes in the future. All of promise. See, so for logout, because we have already imported the auth, and we have seen there's a logout method. Logging out just as simple as calling out logout. Keeps confusing. Call signing. And I don't want to pass any options to the signing out. Just want to use it to be logged out. Now you have a response or not. So I want to catch the errors. This is how the promise. If I've used JavaScript promises before, this will be quite familiar to you. Basically this is a promise. I want to do something. Basically a promise, you can do something if it's successful or rather the error. In my case, I don't want to do anything if it's successful, if the logout was successful. Basically, if the logout was successful, no longer be in this screen anymore. We'll be taken out of this screen. That's it. Just finished implementing the logout. I've wrapped a text inside the touchable positive, which is basically a way of defining buttons with magnetic. This is how we define a touchable interface in magnetic. And when you press it, you can log out. So the next step, I want to wrap my entire app into an authenticator. Authenticator basically, let me first import it and then I'll explain it. It's called authenticator. Not authenticator. I can import authenticator, but I want to use this one authenticator. I like this one wrapping. So because I want to wrap my entire app, I just call it where I'm exporting my app here. I'm exporting my app somewhere here. Just wrap my entire app inside an authenticator. Basically, I'm telling Amplify to run kind of like inside the sandbox. If you're not authenticated, this one cannot be launched if you're not authenticated. Basically, that's what I'm telling. I can still go ahead and use a component called authenticator that is created here for React Native, specifically for React Native. I think there's a similar thing for React called authenticator. Let's call it authenticator. And still go ahead, instead of wrapping like the way I've wrapped, I still go ahead and wrap it. So basically, my entire app is inside the authenticator. I still go ahead and use this instead of using this pattern. I like this pattern. So the indicator can take parameters. Can have some set of parameters. How I want to configure how the education screen should look like or should behave. I can configure it here using this parameter. I'll show you in a moment. So basically that's it. I've wrapped my app inside the indicator. So when I now run this app again, you notice I'll not be able to access this screen anymore. Refresh. Voila. Now you're no longer able to access the screen. I've not defined any UI logic. I've not defined any UI component anywhere in my app, but there's a straight out of the box login screen, sign up screen. Sorry about that. A page to confirm your password, your code when signing up. There's also one for setting your password. Yeah. Out of the box. Amplify brings you all these screens out of the box. And the way these screens are built, using this packaging board. If I decide not to use this one and have my own custom UI and custom forms, then when a user logs in, I just call this function. Sign up. I can call the core function. Anyway, I'll leave this to quick. So use their own UI. But you can even configure this colors to see how you want these fields to be named. You can configure them. Next step, that's it. Let's try signing up. Let's sign up. First of all, I want to hide some fields. Sorry about that. I don't want to use any kind of phone number in my app. I also want to introduce one field called name. I'm going to show you how you can configure the custom parameters. Already done it here. Just pull that one. Just too much code to write. Already done it. Up. Somewhere here. This one. copy that file. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hide. I don't want to use a phone number here, or I can just use the phone number and use my custom country code instead of defaulting to the US. Just default to Kenya 254. etc. About that. Some. So I'm going to define my configuration files here. I'm going to create a field. But you can just consult the docs, see how you can the small detail about implementation of these things. So I'm going in this case, in my sign up form, I'm going to add a field called name, which has a name as a key name, name of type string, and I'm going to add it as a second item. So basically, this display order, I'm going to add it here, the second item. I'm also going to change my default country code to 54. So let me just not hide my phone number yet, and you'll see how that appears. You see, I just oh, I've not, sorry. So I told you this I can take a configuration, and the configuration is the config files we are defined up here. Just going to add that file sign up here. So it will use this config file to build my UI. So basically, you can use this config to customize how you want that UI to look. So you can see, change my country code from +1 to default to 254. Now I'm going to hide. I've also hidden username, as you can see here. There's no field called username. It introduced a field called name and replaced a field called username. There's no longer a field called username. I don't know why it keeps on adding that field by default. It just takes some minute. Sorry. Yeah. So let me hide the phone number. I don't need to use it anyway. This is how you hide fields. Using this parameter called hidden by default. Hide phone number, hide username. Then display the rest. So I'm also going to rename, instead of you see here inside my login screen, you see my email has been replaced with username. I don't want to use username. I want to use an email. So I want to rename this field here from username to email. Okay. Let me show you. Just to pull the code. Just simple. Here. Just then add it in the config. Here. Add it here. So username attributes are in not what username they call it. They call it username, but it is just an email. That is it. You can try not to sign up. Not claim. Sign up. So Amplify the Amplify Reactive package will take care of validating this field. For example, I cannot put password like that one to take care of validating it. It should not work. You see invalid password format. It's validated. Kama kawaida. So that it. You have it. So just send a confirmation email to my email, a confirmation code to my email. And just go need to access my email and check the code. there. It's actually there. You can preview it right here. You see, it did send a confirmation email to my confirmation code to my email without me having to configure anything about it. I didn't even tell it anything about it. But they you can configure the outs. You can send SMS codes. It's a little bit expensive. Maybe like a cent or so per SMS. That's it. That's it. So that's my email. And that's so now the confirmation is successful. Let me log in. Password. This is something here. What? That's right. Voila. Now you're in. You can see. I click log out. Taken out. As you can see, I can access the entire authentication flow. So reset, sign up, load password, etc. So let me sign in again. So back in. Let's now replace hey name with the name of the current user. Basically, I'm going to show you how you can access the currently logged in user. I want to access it from here, from this main screen. I'm gonna do mount. So just going to call the out. So you can use the out to get the current session, the currently logged in user, etc. User. This how the user will return the currently logged in user. So you access the info from the. I want to fresh user information. So basically, this will return user info. You will see the structure that way. Let's first just log it. Info, if we fail to get his info, not going to handle it for that time. See. Load this thing. Here it is. Here it is. These are my info object here from here to here. Here you have attributes. You have the name, whether the email has been verified. Remember our custom attribute called name. All your custom attributes will appear here. Maybe you have some custom fields like ID number, etc. But you want it to appear in the registration page. You'll see it under the info. So now username, etc. ID. Delete it. If I wanted to access the session, I'll just have called out the current session. Not current, so current session. This was returns a session. 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 usually very long, very long, because the session contains a lot of tokens, JWT tokens, etc. And see, have access token, very long. And when my session will expire, the time was logged in, etc. It's very long. So most of the time, if you are using, you can use Amplify and your custom backend. So your custom backend, maybe the backend is written in Spring, or maybe it's written in Django or PHP. You can use the admin library for Amplify to access this data, so to be able to validate you. So a user can send you these tokens, then you can verify from the admin and allow that user to maybe to access some dedicated resources. Maybe you don't want the user to access a profile page or to fetch some data from the API without logging in first. Can use this. You can Google and see how this can migrate those things. Very interesting. So I was very interested with user. They want about session. Basically, how has so many methods you can use. Session for you. There's so many methods you can use. As you can see. So this one to access the user. I want to save that user to state. Put a state. User. The default is just nav, no user. Just launch. But when I find one that user to state user. So the user, this user info contains other data that are not interesting to us. We just want to access the attributes, names, images, etc. The other like IDs, not interesting. So I can come here and check if this is state, that user, if there's a user, get that user's name. Else, just this is a normal Elvis operator. Just don't show me. Don't show me. So basically, I'm just saying if there's a user in state, get that user's name, or else just show hey blank. We should be having it here. It's there. Basically, that is it. I think I'm done. I'm tired. I know you guys are tired. Hope you are following a little bit. We share the code. We share the. You can share the slides. Maybe you can follow it in your own time, and you can reach out in case of anything. So basically, that's it. If you have an application, a user can log in, can register, and can access the user data. Log out. It is maybe the next time, if I get a chance for another session, maybe you can try now to plug some other services so that you can be seeing data from another AWS service like Lambda or Gateway, or even save the images in the S3 bucket and access them from here. So in summary, basically what I was trying to, the information I was trying to pass across, you can develop your apps without necessarily needing to have a dedicated bucket. So if most of your logic, your backend logic, just simple create, read, and update, and create an app, create some S3 bucket somewhere to store image, files like images, and create a DynamoDB to store custom data. Then use plugin and Amplify and the cloud gateway, the API gateway, to save that data to that DynamoDB and expose that API inside the app. Basically, that's having to write any kind of backend. Just a very simple and lambdas. I think that's it for today for me. Yes, any of you guys have any questions?
Just a quick one.
Yes.
So apart from the org, do we have like other, can you build like other services on top of maybe, does it have like other services? Does it have like other services that you can
so
app?
there are so many other services that you can use in the app. All these services that you see inside this screen, accessing GraphQL endpoints, accessing APIs, accessing analytics. Let's say to log events. You want to log user action. Maybe user like click a button or something. You want to log those events. You can use Amplify to create those services. Let me try Pinterest. That one is easy. It's very easy to create these services. All these services can access them from inside the app, even including triggering push notifications at sending emails. Basically, for example, sending an email or triggering a push notification. Let's go with sending an email. Just create a lambda with the logic for sending email inside it, and expose that lambda using the API gateway. Basically, just call that API gateway from your app. The API gateway now will return all the lambda. The lambda will send the email. Simple stuff. When I get something like let's say DynamoDB. Basically, we normally don't expose our database directly to a front end. Basically, we normally wrap our database behind an API. So create an API gateway, create a lambda that accesses the database, the DynamoDB, then expose that lambda using the API gateway of the app thing if it's GraphQL based, then GraphQL based, then that API gateway of lambda or the GraphQL can expose it inside the app, so the app can be able to access this database. And Amplify lets you create all these services just in a flag. As simple as just Amplify add whatever service, the service you want to access. If I want to add API and I want it to be REST-based API, just Amplify add API, then it takes you through the steps of creating an REST API. Have I answered your question?
Yes.
So, and for notifications is very interesting. Very interesting. Just go and check it out. SNS. It's short for AWS Symbol Notification Service. Very interesting. You can check it out. The way you can get analytics and the insights from notifications. Like similar to Firebase, but to me a little bit more advanced. Any other question? So go and check these services. Just know, as a mobile dev, as a web developer, just know you're not limited to whatever stack you're using, especially if you're focused front end. You can plug in some backend without necessarily having to write and maintain a lot of code using AWS Amplify. I think that's it from me. If there are no more questions, I can be reached out from Twitter, whatever, mostly Twitter. This is my Twitter username. If you have any more questions, you can just answer it there. I think I'm done. I'm back to you.
So, Jose, thanks for that session, Jose. We definitely organize many more in the future. So thank you so much. And for guys who stick around to this time, thank you. Yeah, we'll be organizing more of these, mostly in AWS, cloud infrastructure, DevOps, etc. Yeah, so we're in a point of interest for so many. So yeah, we'll be doing more of this. So thank you, Sana Jose.
Karibu.